Okay, just grab that. Can't hear you. You there?
Yes. Are you there, Mike?
Okay. Hi there, Brent.
All right. Excellent.
Very good. Okay, we're all live.
We're live and rolling from Singapore Boat Show. So
Fantastic. Okay, well, welcome everybody.
hang on.
And
Hang on. Stand by. Stand by. Just make. Oh, here we go. Yeah. All right. That's good.
okay.
Mike,
Welcome everybody.
thank you.
Okay, I'm Mike Reese. I'm Sales and Marketing Manager up here for Seawind Catamarans, and here we are, Singapore Boat Show live. And behind me, the 1160XL on debut.
Fantastic. So this is a brand new model based on the older and very famous Seawind 1160 Light.
Exactly right. So we had the first generation, obviously, was the Seawind 1160, made out of Australia. Made 100 of those, and then we went to the 1160 Light, started in 2013, and then now this is our third generation of 1160. And we just felt that it was such a classic and successful model for the company that we didn't want to discontinue the 1160. It's got so much to offer, and it still delivers to so many of our customers. We've got so many boats sailing around where people just love that boat. So we thought, let's do another generation. Let's go to generation 3. So we've got the 1160XL. And yeah, today we're going to go through and have a look at some of the features we've got on this boat, because they're subtle, but they're significant in number and changes in improving this third generation 1160.
Fantastic. All right. Well, why don't you give us the first look, Mike?
Absolutely, yeah. So, I mean, the first thing you see when you look at the side of the boat, obviously, is you've got this much straighter, flatter shear line, and you can just see, you know, it's a much harder sort of styling line as well, much more modern set of lines. And then we've also got our aft transom gate. So straight off the bat, there's quite significant changes on the exterior of the boat. But let's walk around the back of the boat, and we can go on board and take a look at a bit of a deeper look at that stuff. Okay, so boarding on this boat is a significant change in that we've got this beautiful side gate opening inward. So it's you know, some of the boats have got an outward opening side gate, and we were a bit worried that you're going to get that sort of caught on a dock or on a sidewall or something. So it's inward opening, and it's a great height. I mean, I'm 5'7". It's really easy to jump up on the boat here, but also at the back of the boat we put an extra extension on the transom here. So if you're just actually on the dock, normally you'll see to land your foot here is really nice and safe, and you can go around the back of the boat up this side as well. So 2 boarding changes, which are just increasing the safety and the ease of getting on the boat. So let's jump up.
It's not a bad step there either, Mike, from the dock. It's not a huge step up.
Very easy, yeah. We're only talking sort of 1.5 foot or so. So let's go forward. Let's do a bit of the exterior side of things, and then we can get into the aircon, because we're in Singapore and it's so hot, it's unbelievable. So, but we'll go through. But you'll see instantly we've got, as standard on this boat, we've gone to a 4-line lifeline. As you know, Brent, you know, we got all the commercial vessels in Australia. We have to put the additional lifeline that their construction standard is. You have to go to 800 millimeters. The CE minimum requirement is around 600. And whilst we meet the requirement by having the 3-line lifelines, we just feel that the 4 lines are actually quite a nice feature. So on this boat, given that this boat's, you know, it's probably going to be a little bit more catering for sort of family-friendly coastal cruising type stuff, we thought, well, let's just put this in as standard throughout. So you've got an 800 mil 4-line lifeline right the way around the front of the boat as well. Okay.
So that's actually really good, because as before you go there, Mike, that is something we see on our charter boats here, and when people come and take a look at them, particularly taller people like myself, go, well, that's a really nice height around your hip as opposed to down around your knee. So
yeah, exactly.
And I notice also as you're walking down there, is there more beam or more width across where the coach roof is?
Yeah, so compared to the 1160 light, we've got an extra 60 millimeters down the center line of the boat. But then if you consider, we've also extended the foredeck and elevated it, so it all seems much wider and much bigger, sort of flatter decks to walk on. And if you think about the safety of when you do need to go forward, if you are in wet conditions, rough conditions, you've got a handrail that's higher to grab onto, you've got a flatter deck to move forward on, less camber on the deck, and it's nice and flat running all the way forward, and it's wider, so you've got a much easier access to go up forward if you do need to in rough conditions. Then other features on the boat, we're incorporating rainwater catchment on all of our new models, and so we've got a much wider, flatter cabin roof, which means we can accommodate bigger solar panels. And then running forward from that, we've then got a rainwater catchment system. So coming down through the side gutter, it then runs into a recess we've got running around the front of the boat, and then down into the central rainwater catchment system. So in that we have a diverter valve. So when you're using the rainwater catchment, you first of all you're letting the water run straight through the boat, going straight out, because your boat might be salty, it might have mess on it, bird mess, whatever. So you let it, you're really talking about when you've got a decent amount of rain, you get up here and you give it a good scrub first, and you let all that water, any kind of dirt, grime go down through the boat first. And only once you're satisfied that you've got clean water coming through, you then switch the diverter valve, and then you can go into the freshwater tank. Yeah, and that works for a lot of people. I mean, it's just anything you can do to be more self-sufficient on a boat, I think people are looking for these days, and it works. You've got water going straight into your tank.
Nice.
Going forward,
so that is definitely a big new feature on all the boats coming through now, isn't it? But it's certainly new on this size.
That's right. Yeah, we had it as standard on the 1370. That's the first boat we did it on, and then we pushed that onto the 1170. We've actually done a couple of 1260s where we've put some rainwater catchment in now, and it's a nice feature for people to be able to do that. Yeah. We've got tow rails now going all the way along the boat. Again, just increased safety. If you do have a slit, then you've got something as a foot stop going through, and that's running full length of the boat. The old CE requirements used to be 30% on the front, whereas now we go right the way back. I think that's probably pitched a little bit more at monohulls. We don't have that heeling concern, but it's all added safety. So full length tow rails. Probably the big difference when we bring this deck forward is we've got and flatter. We've got much higher forebeam, tramp, and forward deck area. So not only is it more comfortable to come forward, but you've actually got you've got better seakeeping capability as well. So imagine if you're going into a seaway and you're hitting sort of short, sharp chop. If you're getting anything up on that bow or in the tramp area, that's just going to be slowing the boat down. So if you can get everything elevated, again, wing deck clearance as well, everything you can get up higher to get above the wave is going to give you better offshore capability. As with the 1160 light, we've got it's a carbon forebeam completely molded into the deck and in the hull. So when we're laying up the deck, you think in reverse, you've got the forebeam in that part of the mold. When we're laying up the hull, we've got the underside of the forebeam in the hull mold. And then when we put the deck on, we then bring the two together and we do a complete glass join. And that's all carbon fibre going across the forebeam there. That's
what must add a fair bit of stiffness too to the whole platform.
It does, because it's completely integral to the hull and the deck, as opposed to an aluminium beam where you've got points of articulation. So it does actually stiffen up the boat. And this boat, we've incorporated a bit more carbon into the construction and some of the high load areas. So we're finding that the sailing performance on the boat, you can just see little signs of it being just a little bit stiffer. Everyone's very happy with the performance. We've had some great sailing characteristics demonstrated already, but we'll come back to that. Coming up in the foredeck area here, that's if you just want to come around this side.
Yep.
We've got these lockers much deeper because we've elevated the foredeck. I mean, these are the best way to demonstrate probably. That's probably a bit of an oversized fender for this size boat, but got huge storage. I could I reckon I could probably fit 6 to 8 of those in there, you know, whereas the older boats, much shallower. So if you're thinking, you know, spinnakers you could fit in here, you can put a huge amount of additional fluids, fuels, etc. Anything that you need to do when you're really going offshore, there's a lot of space here. We've got, you know, like we would normally do on a sort of classic Seawind, we've got all the standard setup. So we've got a jib and main as a standard setup, and then we've got all of our foresails. So we've got this one's a continuous line screecher run off the bowsprit. So this is all the optional foresail gear, and then we also run a spinnaker, so an asymmetric spinnaker, and we can run that off the pole as well. The boat also comes with bow-mounted stand-up blocks, so you can actually run the kite off a bridle arrangement as well if you want to bring the kite around. So if you want to go a little bit deeper rather than just running straight off the bowsprit. And
Mike, I can see the reversed raked bows there as well on this model.
Yeah, and they're, you know, when we first started doing reverse bows, I mean, there's definitely a case that, you know, reverse bows and cats were very much on trend a few years coming through, and there was sort of speculation, well, what's the real cruising benefit? Are we just following trend here? But we've done a number of boats now with reverse bows. I'll tell you what, you absolutely notice the difference when you're sailing them. Getting that buoyancy further forward, so you've got a longer platform in the water, just stops any, I don't say stops, it reduces the hobby horsing. So you've got to think rowing scull versus bobbing cork. You know, if you can extend that buoyancy, it just stabilizes the boat. But then you've got the other effect of having a reverse bow going forward, so it's a narrower point of entry, a finer point of entry. So then you're slicing through with a longer, sort of pointier bow shape, so it helps you drive upwind a little bit as well. So you've got better stability on a longitudinal basis. You've got slightly improved pointing ability because it's helping you with a better point of entry. There's actual sailing benefits, and then you've got just the raw number of increased waterline length. That's one of the key figures for boat speed on a sailing boat. So yeah, big benefits in that. They look great as well, and nice and powerful. So you can obviously, with that buoyancy forward, if you're going and you're coming off a wave, you've got much more buoyancy up forward.
And I noticed also behind you a seat there on the pulpit.
Yeah.
On earlier versions.
Exactly. Yeah, we used to sort of have this as an optional seat. This is standard on the boat. Yeah, and so I don't know how many selfies and dolphin watching moments have been taken on these tramps or these seats over the years on Seawinds. But yeah, great place to be. Good fun for, you know, you've got family and kids. Everyone comes up the front here, and it's a good spot to be. Definitely. Yeah. Okay. Moving back. So let's just jump in here. We've got, this is our fuel tank, so central fuel tank, 270 litres for the petrol. This is an outboard boat. This fuel tank area is actually external to the boat in that it's vented externally, so all the fuel tank vapors and things are going under the boat, as opposed to, whilst it's, you know, it's central to the boat, it's externally vented. So there's nothing in the accommodation space from this area. Self-tacking jib. Now, on this boat, we've extended the track down a little bit, just so that you can crack off and go downwind. So yeah, just tweaking those little bits. Just, you know, you get the feedback over the years saying what people like. Well, okay. We've also increased the jib sail area as well. So this has actually gone up it's 27% larger than the 1160 line. So now, I mean, there's a couple of things with that. So we're talking about, you know, getting more power forward. The self-tacking jibs, you know, on a cat are known for being very small and skinny. So we've done that. We've got a slightly different space fore and aft, but really what we've done is we've taken the forestay fitting right up higher, and that's giving us that extra sail area. So the boats, you know, it can carry the jib further forward, and then we're maintaining our power to weight ratios. we have got more surface area by increasing the freeboard and extending the bows. So we need to compensate that by putting increased sail area in the main and the jib.
Yeah, I've just got an image there of the jib, Mike, and it's been on the delivery down.
Yeah, and the guys had some pretty good sailing coming down. So we've had we did an initial river trial, which we put a post about, and then the guys have done a pretty decent sea trial in Vietnam, and then we've had the delivery down from Vietnam to the Singapore show. So the trial up in Vietnam, they had some pretty decent wind, and they had about a 24-hour passage, and they were getting some great boat speed. They had some, they're surfing down some waves, cracking. I think they were sort of 15 point something knots coming down, and plenty of wind on with screeches and kite. And they had quite a decent workout going upwind on the coast of Vietnam there. And Stefan, who's our production manager up there and built a lot of the 1160s up there, certainly was most impressed with the bows and the pointing ability. In the Vietnam coast, actually, has got this really sort of short chop as you come out of Ho Chi Minh in through Vung Tau, and that's the kind of area where the guys picked up. This is actually it's performing differently to the 1160 light, which was good to hear. So bashing upwind, they were getting good boat speed. On the passage, I think they had a block of about what I saw came through from the chart plotter screen was they had about 8 or 9 hours, averaging 8.4 knots, which in those conditions, it's good going. Then the trip down 600 nautical miles south from Vietnam, I think Phil got the better job. They just had beautiful sailing, so they had a screecher up and main on Reef 2, and they were coming down. And they averaged over that period, I think they averaged 8.3 knots over the full period. And they had a mix of lots of wind and no wind, but on a passage like that, on a 38-foot boat, to average that sort of 8+ knots coming down that's good numbers, right?
It's incredible.
Yeah.
And a maximum speed here of just shy of 16 knots, which is good going.
Yeah. So, and let's just touch on that. So the hull shape's different as well. Not only we got reverse bows, extended waterline length, we've also got a wider transom as well. So that tends to allow the boat to not squat down. Some of those older, more traditional high rocker transoms that come out all nice and round, versus you see a lot of the more modern style, flared out transoms. And we're kind of a little bit in between on this boat. The 1170 and 1370 are much more aggressive, flattening out and square transom. This is a little bit in between, and that sort of tends to lend itself for some better light wind performance by not being a full flat flared transom. But it's got that buoyancy when you are going down, and if you've got full boat speed and you're completely powered up, you've got a nice amount of volume at the back where you're not squatting down. So from all accounts, everyone that's and the guys that are sailing the boats are people that have sailed a lot of 1160s, 1260s. So there's good context. Everyone's super happy with the way the boat's performing.
Yeah, I just got an image here of the transom. It is quite a different transom to the previous version, isn't it?
That's we got 60 mil of extra hull width. And then we've also incorporated that extra step section at the back, so that's flattening it all out. But it's all done in, it's a whole program of also saying, well, let's get a bit of extra volume at the back of the transom, so when we are powered up, we've got that buoyancy to not squat down, as I say. Yeah. Let's head inside the boat.
Now, Mike, we might have a quick look at motors. While you're there in the cockpit, we just had a quick question here about can you fit a bigger fuel tank on the boat? What do you say about fuel size?
You'll have to come down here a bit. I'll just need to have that question again.
Background noise there, yeah. There's a quick question here about can you fit a bigger fuel tank, or is that even required?
Oh, look, so the range on the boat, from what the guys have just done with that standard tank, is about 300 nautical miles. Based on sort of cruising around about sort of 6.5 knots. Quite often people actually just carry loose jerry cans and to be able to extend that range. Because for a lot of people, coastal cruising, etc. That's actually pretty reasonable. Could we fit a bigger tank? We probably could. I think there's scope to it. But over the years, we found 1160 light owners would typically go for a series of jerry cans for long passages, and then not have it on board when you're just doing your sort of more coastal type stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, well, in fact, we interviewed Scott and Sandy sailing their way through the Red Sea recently with extra jerry cans loaded on the deck. So,
yeah, that's a great video, and great to see those guys really pushing the boat through and going through the Red Sea. Fantastic. Okay, let's have a look. So this is different for the 1160 XL. We've gone for it's much wider, so a 2-person helm seat. And like our other boats, we've got this reversible seat. So, when you've got people sat on the back there, you can, have a nice drink and face people. You've even got people, want to fish off the back, but then you've got the ability to put it across, locking pin, and you can get 2 people on here. So, now when we open it up, you'll see here, standard boat comes with Yamaha 25s. They're the high thrust with the bigger props and the deflector ring around it. That's our standard setup. We've also got on hull 2, just going out on test, we've got a 50 horsepower Yamaha high thrust, and that's we think there's people that would like to go for a bigger motor. All the testing we've done to date has actually been good on this. The guys were most impressed with the performance of the 25. We're just offering 2 options.
And Mike, that's a much bigger cockpit seat, sorry, helm seat.
I'm just going to stop for 1 second, see if it gets music filled. Can someone make it their music? I can get rid of that music. Sorry.
The joys of a live broadcast.
Yeah, exactly. Let's put some music on really loud whilst they clean the boat. So it's our neighbours. Anyway, sorry, what was your question, Brent?
I was just saying the helm seat looks a lot wider than previous models.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and if you sort of come down, you'll see it's an overhang to get that. But we did the double helm seat on the 1260, and that worked really well. So plenty of space. We've got a footrest here as well, which is nice. And you can get 2 people there easy. And it's all the ergonomics that we know and love from classic Seawind design. You've still got this position where you can sit here. I can see 4 corners of the boat. It's such a good setup, and that's why, and that's the kind of stuff that made this boat in its original form such a great award-winning, innovative product. And we haven't touched the ergonomics because that stuff doesn't change. Style changes and technology changes, but ergonomics is a bit more slow-moving. So, you've got this great helm position here. Footrest, and again we can go through. We can see. I'll just get the door set up. Sorry. I think I've got that down pat now. Sorry, Scott, I'm going to let all this nice cool aircon out, but I think it's the way to go.
And the boat's got air conditioning.
Absolutely. For Singapore, yeah.
Well, that's the next question. What's the air conditioning system on the boat?
So the aircon on this boat's a Bel Air. That's it's a 16,000 BTU unit, and it's got the unit down in the galley, the intake, and then you've got the composite ducting that goes across the bulkhead, and you can either have it so it's coming up into the saloon area behind the seats, where you close those off, and the same ducting goes into the forward cabins, one on either side. So depending on where you are, you can divert the cool air so that you can really sort of cool down the space. So if you're just the 2 of you overnight, for example, close off the saloon, close off the starboard forward, and then you can cool the boat down super quickly in that cabin, and then ultimately go down to an economy mode and save a bit of power. Yeah. So I know this is a good point to note on this boat. We put the safety bar down on the door. It's still supported by the line and the jammer. Making sure no one's there, we then just ease the door down so it sits on the bar, so the weight of the door's on the bar. We then jam it off, so you've got two modes. You've got the bar there, and you've also got the jammer and the line still holding the door up. Very safe. This is our system we've had on the, all the 1160s since 2004. So, okay. That line and the rope bucket. All right. Okay. So inside the boat, one of the features that, again, that got picked up when this boat first came out was natural ventilation. It's a simple thing that you take for granted, but if you don't design the boat right, you don't reap the benefits. So that trifold door up, and then these large front opening windows in the up position, really, you get such a great amount of natural ventilation on a Seawind. And we've got these going up nice and high. So, I mean, Brent, you're 6'4", right? So you're at a different point to me. But I mean, from my side, I got clear view. There's no reflection on tiptoes, and still, when you have them too low, then you can get a bit of glare back. So we've got them nice and high, huge ventilation coming through. But then on this boat, we've got a new feature. So on the 1160 Light, we had windows that you have dog clamps on. That you do the dog clamps on the inside, you hold it, and then you come around and you do the dance, and you take it out, and then we slide them in. This boat's got a new feature. They're on a gas strut. Done.
Yeah, wow.
And you bring them up. Done. Really nice and easy. Nothing to muck around with. Yeah, not much to go wrong there. So, yeah.
Fantastic.
That works well. Yeah. So then you've got, again, our normal Seawind setup where you've got your child potter accessible from the helm. Perfect. I can reach, I can see. It's not too high for me. I can see over the top of it. And then when you are on, on your longer passages, night watches, whatever, spin it around, lock it off. I can sit inside with an autopilot plus or minus remote, and you can monitor your progress inside in the warm, in the dry, whatever it might be. So, yeah, great setup. This is and that's where we're really merging the old good stuff from the 1160, and then just bringing in little tweaks. How can we make things better? Yeah.
So, a couple of quick questions, Mike. The headroom, I assuming in the saloon, is the same as what it was on the previous models, but it has lifted a bit through the companion ways?
Well, no. What we've done is we've stood the saloon up a little bit. Yeah. So, and you're, obviously, having worked with you, Brent, when we were in Seawind, when we had the 1160s in the infancy, at 6'4". I always remember you going like this to get down here. Whereas what we've done is we've stood all the windows up, and with the wider 60 millimeters in each hull, the wing deck stayed where it is. The outside's gone out. So we've got, if you take it at the same angle, you've gone out 60 millimeters, and then we've stood it up a little bit as well. So you've got a lot more space up here. Again, I'm 5'7", but I can go down. It's.
Oh, fantastic.
There's plenty of space, much more headroom. And that headroom continues forward as well. So when we go down into the boat.
Yeah, let's have a look. Because, I mean, this is some of the big gains that you've made with lifting that deck up, isn't it? Like it's
yeah,
a higher headroom.
I'll just kill this aircon. So the aircon running full blast at the moment. Yeah, this area here is actually the same. And for someone like yourself, Brent, I mean, as you know, you're 6'4", and you can normally stand inside the midship area quite happily, right?
Absolutely.
And then you go through this area On the original 1160, we have a step down as you go forward. We don't have that. We're sort of, it is slightly lower than that, the midship area, but we don't have a mid cabin step down. And we've got so much more headroom up here, and in the bunks especially as well. When we go down to the owner's cabin on the other side, you'll see you can really, anyone can sit up in the boat and have headroom. Whereas the older generations, that deck coming down meant whoever's in the front end was the shorter one, and the one who's on the taller person was always having to sit next to the bulkhead. So yeah,
it's always a common comment, wasn't it? And that's increased the headroom through there.
That's right. Yeah.
A lot more volume.
A lot more volume, a lot more space, and we've got more space. We've got 60 millimeters of additional space here in all of the doorways and the in the galley, for example. And as you're walking through, you've got all that additional space. And because we've got the reverse bow, the internal volume goes forward as well. So the head area is much larger, much bigger space, and more storage space forward. So optional starboard forward head, as this boat's got. Yeah, plenty of space, and our joinery in this boat is the same as we have in the 1260, which is the sycamore.
Yes.
I always love this timber because it's got a nice amount of natural grain in it. It has this sort of shimmer color going through. It sort of demonstrates, we've actually still got some craftsmanship going on in boat building. We do have a mix of laminates in, we've got, this is a bathroom with a laminate door. You don't want to have real timbers in the wet areas. But yeah, it's a nice light tone, quite neutral. I'll just spin around here.
So you used to pay a lot more money for this sort of timber kit in the earlier light.
That's right.
So that's now standard on the boat, is it?
That's right. This is our standard fit out. We only do this tone, yeah, it's a nice light tone. It works well. Standard bench tops. This is our we call Granicoat bench top. It's a composite bench top, dual sink. We've got LPG stovetop and LPG oven, but we've got it set up sort of ready to go for induction cooktops as well. We've got those requests coming through, and we're just working through being able to offer that also. So we've got our normal bar fridge that we have in the galley. Lots of storage for cutlery, plates, bowls, etc. And then our aft cabin on the 1160 XL, because we've got that extra 60 millimeters. Then we also managed to push the bunk inboard a little bit. We've squeezed a bit underneath the cockpit. We've got a much larger aft cabin here. So you can see as you go in, we've got, it's a proper double. Whereas the 1160 Lite, it's noticeably smaller. So, this is not just the 1.5 or the kids' room now. You can actually get it's a proper double bunk. So,
so a bit wider and a little bit more height through there, isn't it?
There's a bit more height, yeah, and definitely a lot more width. Now, because we've got outboards, underneath this bunk is just full storage. So, it's an open cavity below once you pull up the bunk there. So, heaps of space. Now, coming up, we've got, as you come through, you'll see we've got our escape hatches here. So this is all to do with CE compliance. In order to be Category A full offshore, you need to have a means of escape should the boat invert. Never been used, I hope never used. We use a fixed toughened glass panel as opposed to an opening type. We feel, in terms of managing risk of water intrusion, that's a better option than an opening hatch with a disclaimer that says may not be waterproof.
Yeah. Well, I think the industry has seen a few problems with those all around. So that's essentially a sealed glass panel that you can break.
Yeah, that's right, and with quite a wide bonding flange on it. So, yeah, I mean, our 1160 Lite, our 1260 doesn't have the escape hatch, and we took the approach. We wanted to have, we wanted to incorporate it, so we got a category A. It's important for people to have the category A, but ultimately that's the only thing on the other boats that meant it couldn't be category A. Structurally, they're fine, and all those boats, I mean, geez, they've been sailing around the world for years, you know. So we might have 1260s and 1160 lights as category B boats, but they're engineering-wise, they're all built to the same standard. They're all offshore capable, category A capable. It's more a case of, are we ticking the ISO box, which on this boat we are, which I think is actually, I mean, it's the right way to go, so people can have a full category A boat. Yeah. So coming up, we've got our table is our standard setup, where we've got our table that rotates, drops down. You can turn it into a bunk, as we have on our other boats.
But that's in the Sycamore now, so you've got quite a nice looking table there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's the Sycamore finish. Yeah, it's beautiful, and matching the rest of the boat. It's a very nice setup, and the functionality on that table, the way it rotates and gives you working space to walk around it, always has worked well. Let's move on. Unfortunately, these are not standard on the boat. whatever sailor needs. So nice big storage here. You know, plenty of space for, this locker often gets used for tools and emergency gear because it's nicely accessible from the helm position. Look, the beauty of this boat is that when you are sailing, is that you can be, quite often you've got a couple that are sailing on the boat. One of the couples on the helm, the other person can be here, and you're always in eyesight and you're always in communication, and that's obviously so sort of critical and consistent with the way that we design and build our boats, because it is often two people that you need to be able to be on alert and ready to go when you're sailing, because things can happen. And this sort of setup where you've got either helms are within a few meters, there's no steps to go up and down, it's a nice flat floor, it works very well in terms of being a safe sailing boat where two people can handle it very well.
So yeah, you want to take us down to the cabin? I'll just show a quick image here of the helm in action. Pictured there. Got some wonderful background music there, Mike.
Yeah, my request didn't quite work out right, but
All right, so the main cabin.
Yeah. So Alice will kill me for messing up her bed, but you'll see you've got a lot more headroom here than on the other boats. On the older boat, I would be just about sort of hitting the headliner at this point, sitting on the forward end. So yeah, and as I'm sat here, and you can't see it, but I'm right view, and not a bad spot to wake up in the morning.
Yeah, fantastic. So that's a much bigger cabin space all around, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. And then, again, because we're pushing all that volume forward with a reverse bow, this locker, you can see it, feel it's wider on the outboard side, goes further forward, so more storage. Hopefully not taken up by more things. The key is simple living on board, so keeping the boat light is always important. As we come back to midship, we've got, this boat's got the optional overhead locker and nav desk. So good space for working. You grab your laptop, put it here, all your power. So this boat's got universal outlets. All of our outlets, when we have a GPO, a general purpose outlet or plug socket, an AC, they've always got the USB-C, USB-A. Now they come off the inverter because it's coming through the AC system, So in addition to that, you then also have just straight DC power. So what I mean by that is if you turn the inverter off, these DC power outlets don't produce any power. So it's more efficient to go straight off the DC system. Any power that you're taking through the inverter, you're dropping, 5-6% efficiency. So, but if you've got good weather, good solar, plenty of power coming through, it doesn't matter. Yeah. Okay, so.
And just a question on the batteries, Mike. You may have mentioned earlier the lithium batteries or AGMs on this boat.
No. So we've moved to gel batteries. So all the Seawind range will have a gel battery as the standard. Just a bit more capable of handling the loads that we see on boats these days than the old AGMs. So we've got gel batteries as standard. This boat actually has the gel batteries, and then we've got options to go to what have we got? 420 or 960. 460, 920 amp hours in lithium for this boat. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay, coming through. We'll just go into the bathroom here. I'll open her up. So without the no inboard diesels here, we're outboard boats. So we've got plenty of storage space here. A bit of a dumping ground today, I'm afraid, but lots of storage here. And that would be our standard location for people that do want to put a genset in. We can put that in.
Fantastic. Quick question here. Diesel engines or hybrid an option?
So diesel, no. We've got an outboard boat for this model. We go for the 1170 if you want to go to an inboard version. And then you've got a hybrid system we're working on. We're getting there. We've got a bit more work to go. Not ready to release, but it'll be coming through. Yeah.
Right. Another question here from Alistair. What are the best locations for taking delivery in Thailand or in Asia, which Pattaya in Thailand is our new base there for local delivery, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Probably one of the well, actually, we've had a number of successful strategic moves, I think, in recent years, but definitely our two key things that we're doing now as Seawind is we're recognising that the handover process is really important, and we've got the Thailand handover, and then we've got our Turkish handover. So in Thailand, we've got a great guy in Phil Harper. He's our customer service and delivery manager out of Ocean Marina in Pattaya. So the way we do that is we'll launch the boat in Vietnam. Phil will come to Vietnam, sail the boat round. That's a 5-day trip. And during that time, because you're sort of going south and then north up to Pattaya, he'll typically have different wind conditions, get the good work out for the boat. We'll then look after the boat for a few days, just tidying up anything that he finds on his trip, because it's part of the commissioning process and launching, and almost an extension of the factory process, final QC. We'll get everything tidied up, and then people come into Pattaya, which is just Pattaya. The Ocean Marina Pattaya just won the Marina of the Year for Thailand, and also just got awarded the the Premier Platinum 5-star Anchor Award, whatever that means. But anyway, they are going really well. Great guy.
Fantastic facility there.
Oh, it's incredible. You've got one of the best marine electricians we've come across, sort of working with people. We work with marine electricians all over the world. Great guy there at Ocean Marina. You've got canvas makers, you've got stainless guys, you've got great haul out facilities. And what's great is that we've also got this community of Seawind owners now. It's like a bit of a Seawind park there. We're actually just talking to the marina manager yesterday, saying, look, we need to start zoning off our Seawind corner in the marina, because we're typically seeing 6, 7, 8 boats there at the moment where we've launched. People, they might have they might be in the early stages, but we've also got a number of people where they've taken delivery and they're just spending 3-4 months coming and going. They might fly home for a few weeks, come back to the boat or whatever it is, but people are enjoying that process, which is great to see.
Fantastic. Any other key features to show us there, Mike, while you're at it, or shall we let you get back to the air conditioning?
That would be good. Well, I tell you, one of the things that I got, I was getting asked yesterday, I did a little bit of work last night, just sort of working through the point about outboards and their benefits. So I just want to explain why we're going that pathway. It's interesting. I looked at our numbers of manufacturing costs last night, and it's the cost of an outboard the whole life is quite interesting. So for us to install inboard diesels versus the outboards that we've got here, it's 2.4 times. So your initial entry cost coming in with diesels is much higher. But then you've also got to go through the actual the cost of ownership as well. Maintenance on outboards is definitely much easier. You can get people to do outboard servicing and maintenance much more simply. And I remember when talking to one of your customers who has some boats in survey, and he's got an inboard diesel 1160 and he's got an outboard 1160 resort. And I remember him saying very clearly he loves the resort because when he needs to service his boat, he goes on his stand-up paddleboard with a bucket and he services the leg very quickly in a day. Whereas the inboard boat, he has to get the boat hauled to do a proper Yanmar service. You know, and if you're hauling a boat out, you're normally talking $600 or something to do that, plus your servicing fees. So just doing the small maintenance side of things is much more manageable yourself. And then you go to the far end when you do actually need to replace an engine. If you're, you know, we're talking years down the line, it's a day job realistically to take one of these engines out. You can take it up, you can take it out, and away you go. Whereas a Yanmar replacement is quite a much more significant event in terms of labour and also the you know, the actual cost of the replacement component. But the beauty of the outboard and one of the big drivers is actually drag. You know, when we talk about boats that can perform and this boat in particular, we proudly say in light airs, an 1160 will sail well and better than a lot of competitors. And if you can get rid of a sail drive and a prop that's just sitting there dormant in the water, just creating drag, then your boat speed's obviously going to increase. So getting it completely out of the water, you know, it's just going to improve your sailing capability. It's also taking some of that turbulent water off the leading edge of the rudder as well. Yeah, so there's good benefits there. And the other one is hot topic, electrolysis. There's no stray currents to deal with once you've got legs out of the water and corrosion. Because when you're just putting it down when you're motoring, and hopefully you're not motoring all the time, you're sailing, and when you're out, you know, when you're leaving the boat or when you're sailing, the legs out of the water. So there's good benefits of the outboards, definitely.
We certainly see the boats when we're racing on Sydney Harbour. It's chalk and cheese, the boats that have the outboards. They slip away, very nimble to sail. And yeah, the maintenance factor is real, isn't it? I mean, you always got a clean propeller. Yeah,
exactly right. Yeah. I mean, if you look at the weight component as well, I haven't got my numbers for that, but I know those gory props are beautiful engineering. I love them. But I don't think I could hold both of them at the same time. I mean, they're bloody heavy. Whereas, you know, a fixed prop from on a Yamaha, you know, nice and lightweight, and you know, if you put that with the weight of the engine and all of the fuel separators and all of the, you know, just think about the cooling. Okay, so on an inboard diesel, you got the water intake and you got the cooling hoses coming through, but those hoses are all full of water when you're sailing, right? So you've got the additional weight of the equipment plus all of the fluids as well. So, you know, the weight's a considerable factor as well.
100%.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, it's looking good, Mike. So I think we'd like to get it out sailing soon. So when's going to be the opportunity to do that? Straight after the boat show.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, anyone that wants to come for a sail up here, the boat's going to be here in Singapore for a little while. We've got a great team with ProSail, who are based in Singapore. They're our local dealers here. They'll be able to take people out for a sail if people want to come for a sail. The boat's going to be here for a while, but we'll be taking it up to Thailand. Hull number 2 is nearing completion. We'll be doing our tests on that with the 50 horsepower. Looking forward to that. But we've got boats available, ready to go. And yeah, if you want to get out on the water to go for a test sail, contact your dealer, contact Brent, myself, and we can make it happen. It's a fantastic boat. I haven't seen the boat since it was just coming out of the factory. But coming up here and seeing the boat in the flesh, you know, photos never do things justice, but seeing the boat in the flesh, I'm super impressed with it. I think it looks fantastic. All the guys sailing it are happy with it. So yeah, make an inquiry, get out on the boat, and let's go for a sail.
Fantastic. All right, mate. Well, listen, thanks so much, and we'll let you get back to the show and the air conditioning, and hopefully we'll get one down here to Sydney soon.
Fantastic. Okay, thanks, Brent. Thanks, guys.
Thanks everyone for joining us.